in their homes.
None was to be spared the horror of total war.
I want you to get your knitting out and settle down comfortably at your desks. Then I want to see just how long you can sit there with your gas masks on. And when you're quite quiet, I'm going to read you a story.
But for 8 months, all was quiet. It was the phony war. Then suddenly, on May the 10th, 1940, the Nazi High Command released its panzer columns and mobile infantry on neutral Belgium and Holland in a swift thrust towards the undefended frontiers of France. That night, British troops crossed the frontier to meet the Wehrmacht. Three weeks later, the dazed and battered remnants of a gallant army had been swept to the sea. And across the Channel in Britain, a nation prayed for deliverance. Then came the Epic of Dunkirk. Units of the Home Fleet wrote a new and magnificent chapter in naval history. But the real miracle was provided by that great armada of little ships, pleasure boats, paddle steamers, river craft, to which J.B. Priestley paid a grateful nation's tribute.
Among those paddle steamers that will never return was one that I knew well, for it was the pride of our ferry service to the Isle of Wight, none other than the good ship Gracie Field. She has paddled and churned away forever. But now, look, this little steamer, like all her brave and battered sisters, is immortal. She'll go sailing proudly down the years in the Epic of Dunkirk. And our great-grandchildren, when they learn how we began this war by snatching glory out of defeat and then swept on to victory, may also learn how the little holiday steamers made an excursion to hell and came back glorious.
Now Britain stood alone, but with the knowledge that a great empire and commonwealth was ranged alongside her. And from London, nations upon whom the Nazi tyranny had been clamped heard and were comforted by the voices of their leaders in exile. Beneš of Czechoslovakia,
Lidé československý, Češi a Slováci.
Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands,
Den Svotbena van de stad, benoemd tot de stad.
King Haakon of Norway,
Norske kvinner og menn. Det er med vemodige følelser jeg i dag taler til det norske.
King Peter of Yugoslavia,
Da živi naša mila otadžbina Jugoslavija koja će vaskrsnuti moćnija no što ikad bila.
Sikorski of Poland,
Rodacy, mówię do was w kulminacyjnym punkcie sukcesów germańskich.
and the voice of General de Gaulle.
J'invite les chefs, les soldats, les marins, les aviateurs.
And in this dark hour, Britain too found a voice to express her determination to stand firm.
Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty. So bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
It is September 1940, and the fields and gardens of Kent are bathed in golden sunshine. But up there, with the blue autumn sky as their arena, Hurricanes and Spitfires of the RAF gave battle to Goering's vaunted Luftwaffe. 2 weeks which held the breathless attention of the whole world, the immortal few fought the Battle of Britain from dawn to dusk. They saved Britain from invasion when she was weak, and by saving her, they saved humanity. But now, under cover of the long winter nights, a new ordeal began. An ordeal by fire, by bombs. If you lived in Britain then, you will remember this song. Out of the heavens, hell came to London. The lethal cargoes were unloaded and the bombers droned back into the dawn. And always over the ruins and tears left behind, the cheerful, irrepressible Cockney spirit of the Londoner reasserted itself. The story of one such Londoner was recorded by another one, cab driver Harry Anderson. It was early morning and the bombers had gone. And then, in the silence of a Brit city, Harry heard a woman singing. He found her surrounded by rubble and broken glass, cleaning her front doorstep.
She was well on the stout side, and she looked as if she'd been the mother of about 8 or 9 kids. She looked the sort who wouldn't leave her house unless she was carried out feet first. You know, as if she'd been born in that district and had all her children there and was determined to stay there, Hitler or no Hitler. And was also quite determined to clean the front door step. Now I thought to myself, that's the sort of person you can't beat. And then she turned round and she saw me. Now I thought I'm going to hear something. I'll bet she's going to tell me whether Hitler's mother and father were married. But what she said was, "You ain't seen my bleeding milkman round, have you?"
In their darkest hour, the British people sought laughter and good fellowship. The BBC brought it to them through the weekly High Gang programme of 2 Americans, B.B. Daniels and Ben Lyon.
Hi, gang. Hi!